Your house was targeted by criminals last night. My dear child, if you believe in angels, start this video and watch it completely. Angel says, my child, listen carefully. The time is now. This is not an ordinary message, and you must not take it lightly. You are standing at the edge of a truth that has been hidden from your eyes, and yet the veil is lifting. Something happened last night that you must know about, something that shifted the spiritual atmosphere around you. There was a stirring in the night, and while you rested unaware, eyes were watching, feet were moving, shadows were speaking, and your house, your sacred space, was not just seen, but targeted. What they left behind will shock you. This message is for you. And it will reach into the places you've tried to forget, the prayers you whispered in the dark, the fears you never spoke aloud. Because this message is not just about them. It is about you. About your protection. About your journey. About the spiritual eyes that have seen the enemy circle, and the divine voice that now breaks the silence to tell you, it is time to awaken. You see, while you slept, there was movement. Not just physical, but spiritual. Not just external, but deeply internal. There was a disturbance sent toward your home, a force of wicked intention that tried to leave a residue, an imprint, in your space, in your atmosphere. But the heavens did not sleep. The presence of the Almighty hovered over your rooftop. Angels stood at every corner of your dwelling. And though they came with plans, though they came whispering among themselves, thinking they were unseen, they were seen. And what they left behind is not what they intended. They left behind a mark, not on your body, not even in your home, but in the spirit realm, where things unseen are more dangerous than what is seen. It is in this realm that a new story is being written about you. A shift is taking place. The fire they tried to start has turned back on them. And you, child, you are now being lifted into a realm of greater clarity, because you must know what this means. You have been wondering, haven't you? Why things feel different lately. Why you hear creaks in the house that you can't explain. Why the air felt still and heavy last night, as if time itself paused. It wasn't your imagination. It was the moment the plans of men collided with the will of God. It was the second your destiny refused to be tampered with. There are people, unknown to you, who have spoken your name. Who have discussed your life as if it were theirs to mold. Some are envious, others confused by your peace, your resilience, your light. And though they smile when seen, their inner motives have been like poison, quietly dripping into the atmosphere. But now the truth cannot stay hidden. The spiritual world has responded. And the very things they tried to place on your doorstep have now returned to theirs. You must understand, this is not just about criminals in the natural sense. No. This is deeper. These are spiritual criminals, thieves of peace, manipulators of emotion, destroyers of destiny. They wanted access to your sanctuary, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. But your house is marked by the blood of protection, and even as they attempted to enter, something stopped them. A hand. A force. A roar they could not hear with their human ears, but one that echoed through the halls of heaven. You have been spared, but now you are being summoned to spiritual responsibility. This is your wake-up call. No more delay. No more silence. No more pretending that the strange things happening around you are coincidence. They are not. Your dreams lately, the names that come to your mind without cause, the sudden memories, these are not random. They are signs. You have entered a season of spiritual exposure. Everything hidden will be revealed. And you must be prepared. The enemy tried to write a different story over your home last night, but I have torn that page out of the book. The ink of their plans has dried into dust. And now, what they meant for destruction, I will use as revelation. It is important you understand the magnitude of what nearly happened. The shift was so close. The impact of their intention was so sharp, it could have pierced something in your spirit. But you were covered. And now the covering must become a cloak you walk in daily. No more leaving yourself exposed to emotional traps, spiritual fatigue, or relationships that drain your soul. There are people around you who are not who they pretend to be. You feel it. You've sensed it. But now, the truth will no longer be ignored. Last night was not random. It was not ordinary. It was the beginning of a great uncovering. They tried to plant something, to bind something, to curse something. But they underestimated the power of what surrounds you. And now you must walk with eyes wide open. You must begin to speak blessings over your home each night before you rest. You must cleanse not just with sage or rituals, but with prayer, with divine decrees, with declarations of light that pierce through every shadow. They left behind residue. But more than that, they left behind exposure. They made a mistake. They triggered a divine reaction. And now the spotlight is on them. Names will be revealed to you. Words will return to your memory, words they said, pretending to care, but were laced with double meanings. You will know. You will feel it in your spirit. And when you do, you must not ignore it. This is not the time to retreat. It is the time to rise. It is the hour to speak what God places in your heart, to trust what your spirit whispers in quiet places. You are not imagining things. You are being awakened. What happened last night was meant to silence something inside of you. Instead, it has ignited a fire. You must check the corners of your life. Who have you allowed too close? What have you tolerated in the name of peace? There is someone whose energy has been corrupting your home, not by presence, but by intention. They smile when they call, but your heart grows heavy after the conversation. Pay attention. The vibration of truth is loud now. And the physical? Yes. There was someone. There were footsteps. There was a circling. A watching. But they were met with a wall they could not pass. Something more ancient than any force they have known stood before your door. You may notice something moved, something out of place, something odd in your surroundings. That's not paranoia. That's evidence. They tried to cloak their approach, but the divine will always leave fingerprints when protection has been executed. You have angels assigned to you. They are not symbolic. They are real. And they acted last night. You were on the list. But God removed your name from the outcome and wrote a new chapter instead. There's a reason you're reading this. Because your spirit already knew. This is confirmation. This is the moment your heart finally exhales and says, I wasn't crazy. I knew something was off. Yes, you knew. Because you are spiritually sensitive, and this sensitivity is your gift, not your curse. You must stop dulling it to make others comfortable. A gate has been opened in your life. And what happens next depends on your response to this message. You are not powerless. You are not too late. You are exactly where you need to be to turn this around and rise higher than you've ever been. But first, cleanse. Spiritually. Emotionally. Even physically. Walk through your house. Speak light. Speak peace. Open your windows and declare, no shadow formed against me will stand. My home is protected. My spirit is aligned. My destiny is covered. Something is shifting, even now. As you hear these words, there is a shaking happening in the spirit. Old ties are breaking. Unseen chains are falling. And though your enemies plotted together, they did not realize that their alliance would be their downfall. For what they meant as a secret, God has turned into a spotlight. If you'd like to donate or show your appreciation, you can give a super thanks up to $100. This message is for you. Your house was targeted. But your home is now holy ground. You have passed through a test you did not see coming. And the reward is vision, discernment, clarity, and elevation. You are not the same. And you will never be the same again. What they left behind will not destroy you. It will mark the moment you finally stepped into the truth you always carried. You are chosen. You are watched over. You are anointed for such a time as this. Don't wait to act. Pray tonight. Speak aloud. Take back your atmosphere. Call in the peace that is yours. Remove items in your space that feel off. gifts that carry strange energy, clothes you never felt right in, objects that bring back emotions you've tried to forget. These are anchors. And you must sever the ties. This message is not a warning of fear, it is a revelation of your power. The divine has sent you a signal. Your life is shifting. The old shadows are being cast out. The false friendships will reveal themselves. And you will rise, not wounded, but wiser. My child, your heart wasn't wrong. That strange chill you felt as you lay in bed last night, eyes wide open in the darkness, unable to understand why your spirit was so restless, it was not your imagination. Something did happen. Something very real. Very close. And very dangerous. Heaven has been watching closely, and the silence that wrapped your house like a thin blanket last night was not empty. No, child, that silence was pierced by footsteps. Whispered threats. A plan unfolding under the guise of darkness. Your house was targeted last night. Your name was on their lips. Your peace was the target. But there's something they didn't count on, the hand of the Lord that covers you like a shield. Yes, they came. Yes, they stood just beyond your sight. But they could not pass the barrier of divine fire that encircles you, because you are chosen. Because even while you sleep, the eyes of the Almighty do not shut. Archangel Michael stood at your door. And even though you heard no knock, felt no breeze, saw no shadow, he was there. Sword drawn. Watching them. Holding the line. Blocking the entry. While you turned in your bed, unaware of the evil that crept so close, heaven was already fighting for you. The enemies came thinking this would be the night they would finally breach your walls. The night they would rob you, not just of money, but of destiny, peace, clarity, and purpose. They came thinking it would be easy. But what they left behind will shock you. Because they were stopped. Mid-plan. Mid-curse. Mid-ritual. What they left behind is the evidence of their wickedness. The blueprint of their evil. The spiritual contract they thought no one would see, now revealed. Heaven intercepted what they tried to plant under your foundation. There are hidden objects. Words carved in places you have not looked. Threads knotted and cursed, buried in corners they thought would remain dark. But nothing escapes the light of the Most High. God is uncovering it now. And what was meant to destroy you will now become the evidence used against them. You are not reading this by accident. There is a reason your eyes are on these words now. Heaven pressed this message into your timeline because timing is everything. You have only moments before their plan resurfaces in a different form. They failed last night, but they are regrouping. Rethinking. Adjusting. What they could not achieve through physical intrusion, they now attempt through digital access, emotional manipulation, and soul-draining tactics masked as innocent encounters. Someone close to you, yes, someone with a smile, is a carrier of this plot. Someone who laughs with you carries words from those who curse your name in secret. I am exposing this person. Open your spirit now before the next door opens to them. Because it will be a trap. This person pretends well. But heaven sees their heart. This is someone who has access to your trust, but carries a counterfeit loyalty. Someone whose soul is tied to another who stood outside your home last night, not physically perhaps, but spiritually. A messenger, a gatekeeper, a silent partner in your downfall. But God says, not anymore. It's over. The exposure has begun. Let your eyes open now. Let your discernment rise like a tidal wave. Because no more shall you sleep while wickedness walks past your gate. The angels assigned to you are on high alert. Archangel Michael is issuing a cry, a divine alarm, because time is short. This is not a drill. This is the hour of unveiling. Everything hidden is being shouted from the rooftops. They came last night thinking you were weak. Thinking heaven would not notice. But now every word they uttered is echoing through the courts of heaven, and their spiritual fingerprints are being traced. The scrolls are open. The evidence is loud. But God is not just exposing the person. God is also elevating you. This is the part they never anticipated. That their very attempt to destroy you would trigger your promotion. That the spiritual backlash of their attack would boomerang back with such force that even those not directly involved would tremble. Because heaven takes no threat against its children lightly. There are laws in the spirit. And they violated sacred boundaries when they tried to enter your home, physically or spiritually, without divine permission. They woke up something they cannot put back to sleep. The Lion of Judah is roaring on your behalf. What they left behind will be revealed. You may find it in your dreams, in the odd smell in a room you haven't entered in a while, in the sudden mood changes when you sit in a certain corner. Spiritual residue is real. But God will now guide you in purging every trace of their presence. Anoint your home. Speak psalms aloud. Call forth fire on every cursed object, every hidden scheme. Let nothing remain. Even if it looks like nothing, clean it. Wash it. Speak over it. Because God is telling you now, you were chosen to expose and dismantle their entire plan. This is bigger than your house. Bigger than one night. This is the beginning of the fall of a system. A spiritual network has been watching you for months. Monitoring. Reporting. Trying to map your weakness. But they made a mistake. They underestimated the prophetic power that surrounds you. They underestimated how quickly God would move. And now they are in disarray. Because one of their own is starting to doubt. One of their own has seen the hand of God move on your behalf and is now backing away. God is using their own insider to start the unraveling. That's why you may soon get a strange message. A sudden confession. Someone who was silent before will start talking. Don't ignore them. But don't fully trust them either. They are being used as a vessel to deliver the final key. And you must listen carefully, because what they say may sound confusing, but hidden in their words will be the name. The name of the one who stood at your gate. The name of the one who is still pretending to be your friend. You must not delay. The next 24 hours are critical. Heaven is moving swiftly. Divine investigators, yes, real heavenly beings, are tracing everything: emails, calls, curses, conversations, and even childhood pacts that were made against you without your knowledge. Some of these roots go back decades. Some of these open doors are not your fault, they were inherited. But now is the time to break them. God has chosen you to end this cycle. This bloodline curse stops with you. That's why the attack was so vicious. That's why they came last night. Because they know your rising means they're falling. But they are too late. They waited too long. They doubted too long. And now God is exposing this person, and everything connected to them. This is your moment of divine revelation. And you are not alone. Every time you cried and no one understood, God was counting those tears as evidence. Every time you felt watched, monitored, drained, God was watching too. And now comes justice. The door is closing behind them. The chapter is ending. And the plot is exposed. The thing they left behind, you will see it. Physically or spiritually. A sign will come. Something that confirms all of this. A name, an item, a dream, a phrase someone repeats by accident. Pay attention. Because this will be the confirmation that you were never crazy. That you were never imagining it. That the spiritual warfare was real, and heaven has now stepped in with full force. This is the end for them, and the beginning for you. God is blowing the trumpet. Your freedom is here. The lies are dead. The masks are off. The alarms are ringing. And now, the house of cards they built is falling fast. Let them run. Let them hide. But nothing can escape the gaze of the Lord. Because God has seen everything. And now? Now the world will too. The time is now. Finally, God is exposing this person. Open it now before they rewrite the story. Before they erase the digital trail. Before they silence the last witness. Before they vanish behind another mask. You must act now. This is divine timing. And heaven does not wait. The scroll has been opened. The verdict is being read. The chains are breaking. And you, child of God, are rising. Tonight, sleep will return to your house. Because the war is over. And you have won.